Okay, I think we're live. We're live. Fantastic. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome. It's going to be a great day today. We are excited to be with you, and we're going to be showing stuff here on the AI Biz Hour. This is the live stream. We're doing it live. It's going to be on X and YouTube and Twitch, and you'll be able to do that. Let me go ahead and connect here to John when he starts the show. We'll get that going, and then I'll get over here and get some other things rolling while you're in the background watching us. It's super exciting. You know, there's so many things going on today. It's really, really kind of one of the most awesome things you can imagine. All right, we're going to get started. Let me flip this over here. I need this to get going. Come on, show me the space. There it is. And we'll start listening there with the audio. Cool. We're going to show this on the stream.
Might be minutes,
Now we're live
hours,
here,
months, years away, but it's getting closer.
This
Amazon has
Coolio,
unveiled
and we're good to go in that space.
Osprey quantum chip, which is very interesting. Now, unveiled, does that mean it's out in the market?
Back over here.
Does that mean that it is available, or they're using it? And quantum chips, what does that mean? Does that mean that time and space and the fabric of reality is going to be questioned once we get into the quantum era? There's a lot of movies about everything, everywhere, always, all at once, kind of goes into that. And I don't know if anybody saw Lucy. That kind of.
I did. I saw that movie. I liked that movie. It was interesting. You know, using all of your brain, but then eventually it's like everything's cool, and then all of a sudden everything's not cool. So kind of interesting.
Yeah, that movie really fascinated with me, and also, you know, the gangsters in a foreign country are always super cool, and the bad guy, you know, movie's only as good as the bad guy. And the bad guy was a very cool bad guy character, and she did a great job. Everything about that movie was really interesting. Especially, I won't forget. You remember in the beginning, the very beginning scene where she's waiting outside with her boyfriend at the hotel, and her boyfriend's like, "Hey, go in and bring in this suit, this what was briefcase. You got to do it. I can't do it. You got to do it." So she goes in there, and then they show that footage of a cheetah stalking its prey. You remember? It was really they switched back and forth. I thought that was really on point.
Yeah, fascinating. And I don't remember all of it, but I definitely remember that movie as being really, really interesting. I'm gonna have to watch it again.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of really memorable scenes. I think I saw it a couple times, but most movies I don't remember, but I remember scenes of that movie specifically. So how's your day going, Andy?
Good, busy, a lot of news. I keep getting peppered with stuff. I know you're going to bring it up in a minute, so let's go ahead and get started with the news while everybody continues to join and move on. And then just a quick note for everyone, and I will post this shortly, but we are broadcasting now live every day, so you can join the space and talk to us, or you can join and listen in on the live streams. If you just want to listen in and not, participate, but listen, you can listen in multiple kinds of ways. So there's more than one way to do that. Eventually, this will be turned into a podcast where you'll be able to download it. If you miss it totally, or you're in a different part of the world where you can't see, or it's the middle of your night sleeping, you'll be able to wake up and download the podcast and then listen to whatever the conversation was. So we're moving forward in getting all those things set up so that you guys can be on the cutting edge of AI and bring all of these amazing things. The show's only as good as all the people who bring all the information to us. So we're just the facilitators. We're only experts because of all of the amazing things that people have told us, no other reason. And I don't know, John is building stuff and I'm trying stuff. So we continue to be the experimenters. So if there's something new or crazy or interesting, we're willing to, plug it in and turn it on and see if we can make it work or break stuff or whatever.
Yeah. Can I talk a little bit about what I'm building, or we'll save it for later in the afternoon? Do you want us to start
No,
with
go
the
for it.
movie?
Go for it.
Well, yeah. So I'm building out workflows, or AI agents that kind of interchangeable. There's a real interesting thing about. I went down the deep dive. Andy, you know now that you can get an AI model to go search the internet, correct?
Yes, that is so exciting.
So do you know exactly how it does that and how it retrieves the data in terms of,
No, no,
okay,
tell me.
so this is kind of interesting. So Grok actually in the description of how it does it says it basically we have websites that are on our good list, which was kind of weird. And then you can so this one of the AI agents that I'm making. Google has an API, so you can use the API to do searches, so it will be what a Google search is. So for SEO purposes, you put in a query, a keyword or whatever, and then you want to see what shows up for that and why the top business is ranking. But with AI, it does not do that, which is going to be very interesting because, Andy, do you know how much money is spent every year on trying to get a business to the top of Google search?
No, but I know that the overall market is like this the defense department of like giant countries. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's massive. And if you go to and the hallmark of figuring out how someone lands on your page on your website has been Google Analytics in the past. And over the past 20, I don't know, 15 years, as long as Google Analytics has been around, every year or every month they take away more and more data. One thing about that you often do is you'll go to AdWords because there's data that you can get on AdWords that you can't get on analytics, and sometimes it's worth having an ad campaign just to get that data. But one thing that you cannot currently do is find out how many AI agents have gone to your site, and so this is a dilemma, but this is going to be an intense and nobody's talking about this. I published yesterday on my account the actual mechanisms that it goes the AI that at least Grok goes through to get a search result. But it's interesting. There's nobody talking right now about tracking or understanding how these agents are getting to your website. So they have their own parameters that they use. Basically, the Perplexity will do like Perplexity is cool in the sense you can say go to all of the Reddit and all the social media and give me information on people that are discussing this topic, which is different than saying I want a plumber that's nearby that has great ratings. They use different quantifiers, but Perplexity is constantly searching the internet and then just has a database and then retrieves information based on how the model's trained as well. And Google kind of or Grok kind of has the same thing. Gemini, I haven't gone down the rabbit hole with Gemini. I would assume Gemini does a lot the way Google does it, but there's going to be a huge amount of money in figuring this nut out. But I feel pretty good in the sense that I'm already kind of starting to crack the surface of it. But to make a long story short, the AI agents that I'm making are going out and doing searches for SEO purposes, for competition analysis and other things. And but the key I needed to know because that's the problem with a lot of these AI agents is you say do X, Y, and Z, and they come up with an answer. But how do we verify that that answer is the proper answer? When actually I did a deep dive with ChatGDP a couple months ago, about a month ago, and it stated, and then I went to Grok, and they all stated the same thing that there's about a 30% error rate. And also, yeah, you can't necessarily trust you. The thing with SEO is you verify, you test, you make sure that you do a bunch of tests and see what the responses is, so you get a better understanding of whether or not your assumptions are accurate, and even the numbers are accurate. You can't trust everything, and so you got to verify it. But it's going to be a whole nother experience. It's going to be a whole nother skill set trying to verify these AI agents are doing in terms of search. Does that seem interesting at all to you, Andy?
Fascinating. Uh, First of all, the whole idea of spider bots, walking through all of the things necessary to do the internet, which is massive, right? It's a distributed thing. It's not a single place. It is distributed information in just millions of places. The fact that we've created these ideas that these bots will go through and spider bots, so they crawl through all the web of everything, right? That was the dumb reason why they called it that. But it's still fascinating technology. So think of this. Let's say that there's 4 or 5,000 news sites in the world and 400,000 or 4 million blogs. Okay. Anytime any one thing is posted, and I'm not talking about any social media accounts, just websites and blogs, anytime anything is posted, how long is that cycle until the bot reads that information, absorbs it, puts it into its either LLM or database in order to categorize it so that when a search happens, it'll say, yeah, this is included in the search. That to me, that's fascinating, because you're not actually going to the primary source of information. You're going to a secondary source saying, where can I find this? And that has to know where everything is and what it's doing. And the whole concept of that. And by the way, when I say, 400 or 4,000 or 4 million, that add a couple zeros onto the end of what I just said, because the internet is huge in every language everywhere. And it is a shocking thing on how they cache, capture, and put stuff into search engines to start with, let alone give us an ability to answer something. So Perplexity doing that is like, search engine times LLM plus a chatbot and an answering machine all at the same time. It's awesome.
And there's a thing called Google Search Engine Console, where you can force index a page. If you put a new page on your website, you put it in there and you do it one or two times, and it kind of forces it to index it. But when it comes to the AI agents and how they are going to do it, I created a script. There's not many people in the room, so I'll share it. I created a script where I can put it into a website and then inform the AI agents to use the data from the company that I got, as data to train that AI model, which is pretty exciting. So I haven't done that yet, but I'm gonna put it in place and then kind of test it out. But I think that's kind of the secret sauce for AI SEO, is to inform the AI model, give it some parameters as why this data is the best for this search term, and then create some things that kind of build that up. So it will go to that as the training material to train the model on that subject.
Yeah, I think that as we use words like training and other words, I think because of the impact of the AI LLM chatbots, that those words like training and context windows and tokens, those are going to become uh, ubiquitous terms across English and be applied in multiple ways. And so when you were saying that, it was just occurring to me that, yeah, when we talk about searching the web means a certain thing in some people's mind. But now, because of the context windows and LLMs and chatbots and AI, it's going to take on a whole nother dimension of information and context within humans and the way we use language. So I think that's also kind of fun to watch as well.
I forgot that now we've got a YouTube and a Twitch, and so yeah, this is going to go out to a lot of people. So it's more people than just in the room. But one thing that's really nice about the space for everyone who's here is because of the way we're distributing it in multiple places. Yet we get to keep the intimacy or the kind of camaraderie that we've built in this space, and I think that's really important. So it would take somebody some effort to figure out how to get here, even if they found us on a bunch of the other stuff that we've got going out now, which is pretty
Well,
cool.
what I'm doing is I'm going to post all the links to the live streams in here in the X space, and then in the chat box for all of the other people watching, I'm going to put the space link and say, if you want to talk to us, if you're just listening, cool. But if you want to actually talk to us, you can send a chat or you can join the X space, and here's the link. So I'm going to do that too.
Cool beans. So we have Sanons here and Juan Carlos and Danny and Paul and Loreto and Najiri. Please, if anybody has anything that they want to contribute, really would love it. The reason why this space is so awesome is because of the people that attend and that contribute and throw in their ideas about this. We've got a lot of really smart, accomplished individuals who show up on a regular basis, and really thankful for that. So do you want me to kind of start getting into the news a little bit? We got 17 after the hour. What are you thinking, Andy?
Let's do it.
All righty. So the big story, the thing that we've got on the marquee today is Amazon unveils Osprey quantum chip, joining Google and Microsoft in quantum race. Amazon Services, AWS, announced the Osprey quantum chip today, a 256 qubit processor designed to accelerate machine learning and optimization of tasks, unveiled at AWS 2025 in Las Vegas. Osprey leverages a hybrid quantum classical architecture integrating with AWS's Bracket platform. Amazon claims Osprey performs the bunch of stuff I don't really care about. It's boasting a 99.9 gate fidelity. Do you understand what that means, Andy?
Yeah, qubits are the basic measurement they use on processing speed and capacity. So kind of like RAM, you had a megabyte RAM, a gigabyte of RAM. Qubits is like the way that it processes. And then what was that other part you mentioned?
Yeah, well, yeah, that was the part that was the 99.9% gate fidelity.
Yeah, gate fidelity. So in quantum computing, right? Remember, it's rotational spin of an electron, right? So they have electron is inside a gate. If it's spinning one way, it's 0. If it spins the other way, it's a 1. So it's a positive spin or a negative spin. And so when you said 99%, 99.99 whatever in gate fidelity means that of the whatever number of gates they have, whatever millions and millions and millions of gates they have, that 99.999 whatever percentage of them are doing the right thing. And so if there's
Wasn't that the big problem was correction errors? I remember with the last
false positive.
Yeah.
It's a false positive problem. So think of pregnancy. You test, it shows you're pregnant. Okay, cool. Are you pregnant? Yes or no? Okay, do you need another test to validate it? If the answer is no, it's 99.99% effective or for the test. That means that out of 1,000, one might get a false positive. So the 999 people who tested, they can be confident in the answer. And in fact, everybody can be confident in the answer because it's a very, very high possibility. But we're talking about a level of precision that would reproduce a set of words in context. And so you have the set of words to convey the meaning, you have the context, you have the subtext, you have everything in that language. So it's not just the answer that has to be precise. the question has to be precise to get the right context to check for and get the answer. Once the answer is returned, it has to be then formatted in a way that the humans can use through the NLP layer, the natural language processing. In other words, us talking to each other like people, as opposed to uh, an unformatted, yes answer to a question, which is just a binary positive or negative. So the context windows and the precision come into play when you're talking about going from processing layer, thinking layer, context layer, to then translating the response into a natural processing, natural language layer so that you and I can read it and understand what it's trying to say. So there's a large stack of activities that happen. And every time you have in quality assurance, every time you have a less than 1,000%, which you never get 1,000%, but so the more precise you are, the better chance that every one of the sequence is precise. Every time you induce an error into that process, that error is going to get amplified every time you multiply it times another process. And so what you want to do is get as high a quality as possible for as many processes at as many steps as possible.
Yeah, so that makes total sense because industry and analysts speculate this positions AWS as a leader in the cloud-based quantum computing, targeting enterprises in logistics, pharmaceuticals, and finance. The advancement fuels speculation about Apple and NVIDIA's timelines, with experts predicting announcements in Q3 of 2025, given their TSMC partnerships. One thing that I find very interesting, we named, put on the marquee today, AI quantum chips terror or savior. Well, this aligns with Jeff Bezos' declaration that came out today, February 27th, 2025. He declares the paper's opinions section will now focus exclusively on defending liberty and free markets. So somebody comes out with a quantum chip that can change the whole trajectory of life on Earth, and on the same day that news comes out, he says that the paper's opinion section will now focus exclusively on defending personal liberty and free markets. That's pretty powerful, those two things coming out the same day.
Yeah, one is, so Jeff Bezos is pivoting the Washington Post because the Post was losing massive amounts of money, laying off people left and right. And so that's a business decision, just trying to get more people to read the interesting things that he puts on his paper. I personally think newspapers are dead. I think they need to pivot into a digital economy and provide content in multiple ways as opposed to a quote unquote paper. I also think that the methodology used to editorialize and comment, create, and direct what is written and what's curated to be put on the paper, that's dead, because the paper was constrained by the amount of ink that could be read, by the font size on whatever size paper they printed, literally physical letters on a page so that people could actually read it. And then however many pages was based on what kind of volume they had in their distribution or subscribers number. And what's happened is subscriber numbers are dropping every day. There are less people who have a newspaper subscription than the day before. So today there's less people. And so his business decision is just trying to get more people to read the paper or read their stuff.
But I mean, do you think he's an opportunist, just figuring out which way the wind's blowing? Or do you think he's stating something that he truly believes and he's waited for the time to say it when it's a politically okay time to say it? Or I mean, those are
maybe. I don't know. I'm not gonna speculate on what Bezos's perspective is, except for this. If I owned the paper, I would be doing everything I can to get as many people reading it as possible. I want my readership high. I want my website engagement high. I want the links and the people and engagement on all social media from all of the places where you can distribute the content to be high as possible. And so I would do whatever is the current wind to get people to read my paper, because that's the whole point, right? Now, the first thing, these quantum chips, as soon as, okay, so if they have a quantum chip in a lab that they're telling all of us people around, my tinfoil hat side of my brain says, oh, so that means how long have we actually had these in the Defense Department sector? Is there one in every single nuclear submarine right now, or every nuclear powered aircraft carrier destroyer that's roaming around the world? That, because listen, let's just be honest. The most amazing, the coolest, the most advanced technology in the world is not at Wall Street. It's in a submarine. Period. End of story. 100%. Look it up. Prove me wrong. I'm happy to debate you, but the most amazing, the most forward thinking, the most compact and advanced stuff is in submarines. Okay. Because they have the fate of the world at their hands. They literally, they're floating missile launch bases that can float around the world undetectable at the majority of the time. And I mean, like 99.9% of the time, you don't know where they are. You don't know how to find them. You can't see where they are. You don't know what's going on. And they literally can just come to the surface and launch stuff that would literally destroy half the earth. So yeah, they need the most amazing thing. And by the way, I'm not talking about US submarines or Russian submarines or Chinese. I'm talking about all of them. All of them have these devastating capabilities, and therefore all the most important advances are in submarines. Just they are. Okay. So if there's quantum chips today that they're now announcing in the labs, that they're saying, yes, we've done this and we've achieved this milestone. Awesome. If as soon as those things become, I think I texted you in the back channel on our stream channel. I said, as soon as they become available at scale to anyone in any way in a commercial space, right? To a bank, to a trading house, to a financial institution, to an agency, a government, anything. They can point that thing at the world. I mean, you remember the movie Sneakers, where they had the universal unlock code? You have a quantum computer, you have a universal unlock code to everything, everywhere, all at the same time. So all of crypto is gone. All cryptography is toast. Every single math problem we've ever had can be instantly solved. They can break through every single user personality, personal protection, privacy, security. Every law is now moot as far as that goes. It means it's inconceivable that you could apply it to something that can literally know everything, everywhere, all the time. I mean, you guys, the idea of a quantum chip is terrifying, and in any possible way, as soon as because if you've tested it and they've come up with the idea and it kind of works, they'll figure out a way to make it commercially viable to work. It doesn't matter how much it costs, someone will pay for it. And as soon as that happens, then everything is talk about disruption. I described it as soon as that happens and all those things I mentioned go away, it's like we are back in the Stone Age looking at a rocket ship or a Tesla. Just inconceivable jump in technology.
That's not how things work. That people constantly say, "Oh, if this happens, it's going to change everything." I don't think that all of a sudden quantum chip comes out and it's going to crack every crypto wallet and steal every Bitcoin dollar within the day.
No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is it can run every single hash. So in the mining space in crypto, it's running all of these hash calculations, and the hash calculations complete. And at a certain point, when they complete, the Bitcoin is released into that piece. What would happen is, as soon as the quantum chip is applied to that problem, it solves all the problems almost, let's say, in a minute. Okay. So it literally runs every possible hash, every possible calculation, and it completes it all in less than 5 minutes. Done.
Yeah,
Every answer is done. That means every Bitcoin is released, every piece of one. But it also then, I mean, imagine having the perfect answer machine, and you could say, you could ask every single question you have about anything you ever wanted, and it would do that question and every permutation of your question in seconds. So think of, remember Deep Blue, where Deep Blue could handle every process, every possible chess move for like 27 levels, and it could do it within minutes. Okay. We're talking about a quantum chip could solve every single chess game ever possible in the trillions in minutes. Every single chess game and every single chess move possible from every single position and every single possible opportunity and every single side, minutes, everything ever. That's the kind of stuff we're talking about. That kind of level of it's not better or worse. It's just faster. It can just do more at a larger a larger capacity, and do it at the speed of light. It literally will change everything in our life.
Well, I mean, and that's I think that if Jeff Bezos is the one who is owns the company that this is happened in, and it's gonna, who he is going to matter a lot, I think.
Well, yeah, but remember, Bezos owns 17% of Amazon or something like that, and he doesn't even run the company anymore. There's a CEO and a president and a board of directors, and he's on the board, but he doesn't run the company anymore. He's retired. He's gone. He's outside of leadership. Somebody else is making that decision. They may ask him, "What do you think?" But he's got multiple companies, right? He owns blah blah blah, all this other stuff. Same thing with Elon. Elon doesn't own all of Tesla. He only owns like 20%, but he owns a voting majority of the share, and the rest of the shareholders all agree with him. As soon as all the shareholders go, "That's it, you're done, you're out," he just walks away with his 20% equity. He's only in control because the shareholders keep voting him in. Got to remember that all of these big things are not like Andy's solo little consulting company where I own, run, and manage everything. We're talking about there are lots and lots of forces at play here, lots of banks, lots of BlackRock. Think of this. What if BlackRock got a quantum computer? BlackRock could then instantly do all the trade and the trade permutations for every single thing that it has under its umbrella of management. And the umbrella of management at BlackRock is like, I forget what it is, trillions and trillions. It's like more than like half the countries in the world. It has assets under management, meaning portfolios, commodities, stocks, bonds, ETFs, crypto, everything. It's got all of that and physical cash under management. It can choose to do anything it wants with its vast resources.
So I have a question. So what are your will? So it's Andy Jassy is the CEO of Amazon. He deals with the day-to-day operations, strategic director. So you get this thing up and running, and then do you become more powerful than nations? Or I mean, like, what's the,
Yes, you become more powerful than anything else on earth. You become the most powerful thing there is. And the only reason why the nuclear deterrent is the second most powerful thing is because the threat of you shooting yours at me and me shooting mine at yours, neither one of us wants mutual destruction. So if you launch yours at mine, it takes a certain amount of time to get there, and I can launch mine a certain amount of time for them to get to where you are, and then both of us mutual destruction. We're both gone. Okay? Quantum chips are not like that. They're like, can I just know everything about everything you've ever done, every moment you've ever lived, your entire life? Oh, and by the way, all 8 billion people at the same time. It's almost omniscience. It's closer to omniscience than anything else we've ever been able to conceive of in the past. And that's why it's scary. Because you don't need nuclear weapons. If you had, okay, if I had one of these things and you said, "Put on your evil hat," cool. I just go through and find all the nuclear devices in the world and all the nuclear arms codes, and I deactivate everything. and then I control everything. And then now everybody has to come to me because I have the super secret passwords to everything bad in the whole wide world. And then I can encrypt every single communication from every single frequency on every single device everywhere in the world instantaneously. Because as soon as I do that, I would get access to the satellite networks and the communications networks and the cell networks all around the world. All the 3G, 4G, 5G towers would all be under my control. And then now I have 100% surveillance, 100% digital activities and satellite activities. And now I can control the communications and access every single thing in everywhere in the world, because that's where all the stuff goes when we are on the internet. It goes through all of those towers and all of those landlines and all the connectivities. And then I would go through all of the physical copper wires and get all of the communications and all the switches and all of the activities and all the backband networks and computer systems and data centers. And now I own all the data and all the networks and all the switches and all the hardline copper and all the cell phone towers and all the satellites. And therefore, I can control everything that goes through electronic communication, which is everything we do. That's how, if I was going to wear my evil hat, that's what would happen.
So a chip is not a computer, right? Is once you have the chip, you just throw it into any computer, and you're going to town.
Right now, there's no restrictions on the devices I can plug into my home Wi-Fi, connect to my internet, connect to the backbone of the internet, and there's no restrictions on anybody's connection of any device on any Wi-Fi network to any commercial. Or listen, you can war drive around with a Wi-Fi antenna in a Pringles can and a onion router, for God's sakes, and you can backdoor all of those things, plug it into a laptop, run a virtual machine on a USB. I'm saying way too much stuff. You could plug a USB drive into a laptop, run an operating system off a USB drive, plug that into an onion router, plug that into a Pringles can, war drive around to an open Wi-Fi network and connect to their stuff. And you now have access to the internet. And with your super secret quantum device, bam, you win, own everything.
Do you want to hear what Grok has to say about this, just on a societal level?
Love to.
Okay. If AWS deploys this tech, Amazon could optimize its supply chain to a ridiculous degree. This delivers arriving, so who cares about that? Your Alexa might predict your needs, maybe even read your mind. If you work in tech, logistics, or data analysis, your job might evolve or totally vanish. Quantum computing could automate complex automations. Yeah, the workflows I'm doing would like be kid stuff. Privacy trade-off, your data, shopping habits, everything will be recorded. Will pierce into your brain as you sleep and record your dreams. Scientific accelerations, problems we've wrestled with for decades. We probably could have people living like in the Bible, they say 250 years. Economic disruption, ethical crossroads. Yeah, it's pretty kind of doomish.
Right. Like I said, you own everything everywhere all the time instantly. Essentially, within a day, you
But
literally
there's always day and there's always night. We can't just focus on, the
computers don't sleep. You can run a script that says, go find these things, go to bed, and it'll do it for you. You don't have, you can just tell it, hey, I want you to do, you could plug, you can download a version of Gemma. You can plug it into your own computer. You can have it do some, recursive kind of questions and say, ask this question, get the answers, put it into this database, ask the next question and just keep doing that till you run out of questions. I'm going to go to bed.
Well, I think that the news cycle.
By the way, if you guys are listening, you would like to add to Andy's tinfoil hat, please. And by the way, I don't truly believe that this is as doom and gloom as I'm making it out to be. But I'm just saying, if you gave me one of these devices and said, you can, what could you do with it? Well, I'm only tackling the very simplest activity, which is how would you identify the communications so you could identify where the computers are, so you could identify where the parts are. And so the first thing I would do is go after power and communications. And those are the two things, because I didn't even mention power, but yeah, you could
Well,
run and control everything.
I'd like to talk you off the cliff there for a minute, Andy. It's yeah, I mean, I think that it's funny the way societies, nations, and people work, and there's no streamline. Um, nothing's streamlined from one point to the other. So the idea that all of these, I mean, there would be things that would happen first, and I don't know what the time frame would be, but and also it also could, in the right hands, it could make the world a very amazing place. Now, one thing is we don't have a great record of managing things well throughout in a lot of ways, in terms of the constitution and things. So, if it happens here with Amazon, that's probably a plus on humanity's side. Do you think that, Andy?
Yes, of course.
Cool. And then we'll go on. So, balance of power globally. China's quantum program is state driven, aiming for supremacy in areas like photon based computing. An AWS breakthrough might force Beijing to double down, escalating the quantum race. If the US exports quantum services via AWS, it could pull nations away from China's tech sphere, reshaping alliances. The EU, and initiatives like the Quantum Flagship might lag unless they partner with AWS or counter with their own tech. Dependence on US quantum clouds could erode sovereignty, tilting powers westward. Smaller nations, countries without quantum capacities, might become clients of AWS, aligning with US interests, or seek China's alternative, splitting the world into two quantum blocks. Think Cold War 2.0, but with qubits instead of nukes. Corporate power. Amazon's lead could make it quasi-state actor, yielding influence over nations reliant on its techs. Global power might hinge less on governments and more on who controls quant. Yeah, I mean, if you had a very active, all these technocrats would be kind of become useless in a day. Yeah, it provokes a lot of questions. I would really love to hear somebody from the audience who's been listening in to hear what your takes are on this. There's a lot of people with a lot of experiences in life that might have something to add to this.
The main point, when you read a news article, I'm always skeptical of a news article that says, if this, it might this, might that. Okay. Yeah, a speculation. I can speculate as good as anyone, and I already did earlier. But the truth is, if Amazon, Microsoft, and who's the other one? Amazon, Microsoft, and whoever came out with a quantum, Google came out with a quantum chip. That means Huawei's working on one, Nvidia's working on one, Apple's working on one, and they're going to be next, right? They're the chip makers. TSMC and Taiwan manufacturing semiconductor manufacturing company. They're working on chips. I don't know which labs are doing this. How many universities are working on quantum chips? How many doctorate degrees are going to be issued and delivered for people, using, modifying, managing, creating scaled down versions of these chips that they don't need, negative 20 degree, Kelvin to operate in. I mean, the heat generation's got to be just massive for doing that kind of process. Anyway, there's all kinds of things there as well. But yeah, I'm not really a big fan of news articles that say, if this, if that, then maybe this, maybe that. And then they go to, it's going to, and then produce some result. That's like me saying the sky is purple, therefore we need a giant geodesic dome. Yeah, the sky isn't purple. It's not even blue. It's just refracted light. So anyway, hey, Shannon, love to hear your thoughts on this.
Hey, Andy. Hey, John Carlos, Daniel, Paul, everybody. What's up? How you doing? Yeah, interesting. Huh.
Wait, this is the first time we've got you speechless? Seriously?
No, I'm having multiple thoughts that I'm trying to arrange so it will make sense. I think there is nothing new under the sun, literally. Like, if we see ourselves now from the perspective of Bronze Age, when they discovered the metal, that's pretty much it. In terms of quantum, I see a big problem, like not humans, not technology, not everything. Commercialization. The other day on a space, we were talking about like human not being involving. We are manipulating and managing the space and developing environment, but humans are pretty much the same since forever. And if we commercialize this thing, is it going to have like full capability? I don't think so. Um, Great examples are already existing big companies like Microsoft. Everything they build is like pure crap. But they got into the schools, they were like first on the market, they launch it, people get used to it, people are using it, even they're complaining. So if you want to start your daily work, you need to wait for half an hour just for your computer to start. And it doesn't matter how much RAM and everything it has, like GPUs and stuff. Same with everybody else, Google and so on. I think the progression of quantum chip will change a lot, but like everything else we built so far, pay per use. Like AI we have right now is literally that, pay per use. And that's okay. But then what's the amount you pay to get the maximum, to get all of it? And I think commercialization is going to be like huge, huge, huge obstacle for anything that we build to achieve full potential. Maybe I'm wrong, but so far I'm seeing this as a problem for with everything. Like we don't have not single one product that we can say this is the complete product.
And the guy from Netscape, the founder, he was saying that he had a conversation with the Biden administration, and they were saying, "Oh, we're going to make sure there's only a few AI companies." And he was like, "How do you do that?" And then he said, "Well, we controlled the physics and nuclear industry very tightly after the atom bomb went off or whatever." So yeah, you could, Andy. I mean, it's possible that the government could, put a tight drum on it and just make things as usual, and it would be parsed out and used in one way to the public, and in another way for the powers, for the powers that be. That's probably how it's going to work out. I don't see how it would just like go, it's the Uber monster and just disrupt everything, because I've never, we've never seen, some maybe Nero or something, but yeah, that's probably how it'll play out. Any thoughts?
Yeah, well, yeah, because it's Mark Andreessen from he worked at IBM and he started Mozilla, and smart guy. He does virtual. He's a VC now. He contributes to Y Combinator, and he's got a big fund that he does a lot of public or private equity stuff. But the point of that article was that, oh, that means that there's stuff that is true that the government has squelched in the areas of physics we don't even know. I suspect that's like gravitational propulsion, right? We've figured out how to manage gravity, and therefore, for example, if you have gravity and you can manage gravity, you can create a car that can be on the field of gravity, which means if you use gravity for propulsion, you don't need oil, you don't need car companies, you don't need gas companies, you don't need roads. There's all this stuff that just instantly goes away. And that's the part that makes me wonder what, okay, okay, it's dumb speculation. And I don't know if it's true. I have no comment. I'm just pulling that one out of my ear. Okay. But the point is, nobody's talked about it. Nobody's shown anything about it. Nobody said, hey, we can pull electricity out of the air. We can just, power your electric vehicle by, there's electricity in the air all the time, right? There's sine waves and there's radio waves and there's all kinds of other energies that come by. We can just extract that with this very simple process. They've kind of speculated on it, but no one's ever shown it, right? Here's the point. If we're speculating on quantum chip computing at the gate level, right? At the electron level, we're speculating. We're not speculating anymore. We got 3 working prototype versions, which means somebody's got it somewhere. Somebody's done something somewhere. How did they get to that point? Did they all start working in the same research lab with the same professor and then go off to their various different? Because normally this stuff happens at a university. You know, Princeton University announces blah, blah, blah breakthrough in laser technology, or, you know, the University of Poland, or the American Academy in Cairo has produced blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and then people do this academic exercise. They win Nobel Prizes and stuff like, I mean, they get grants and huge funding for doing this stuff at the university. These announcements are not coming from the universities. They're coming from a company. And the company has had to then fund all of that information, not a government through some kind of university or educational space that is identified and built around theoretical activities, right? To get a master's degree, you have to learn a bunch of stuff and then do a dissertation. To get a doctorate degree, you have to have a doctorate thesis and a paper that's researched, and it takes years of evidence and research and detail. It doesn't matter if it's in law, if it's in finance, if it's in whatever. To get a doctorate degree, you have to have some kind of doctoral thesis that these things are published. It's why the internet started, was so everybody could read everyone else's paper. And yet that's not what's happening here. That's why I'm skeptical of the answer, because quantum chips are coming from companies. Companies have to be funded by somebody for their own purpose. Nefarious or not, don't care. I'm just saying this is not the normal way things show up. Brand new bullets, brand new weapons, laser guns, you know, different sonic variances, different types of propulsion, different electronic motors, different battery types of chemical compositions. All this stuff is being generated from the industry, from the commercialized space, not from the education space. Or it's not being announced from the education space, which makes it extremely, for me, makes it I'm very skeptical of all of that. That's my point.
Sonnen, I see your hands up.
Oh, just wanted to add to Andy's physics analogy. Like bullet train is literally proof of that. Nothing can move with that low level of friction, like bullet train, and it's fascinating. And yes, I mean, schools are funded from these big companies. I remember when I was at a school, Verizon was big founder. Some other big firms like MIT is funded, and actually MIT was saved by Steve Schwarzman when China came into the CS stuff and like fight with that. So I do agree with you 100%. There are labs, there are schools, and there are financiers of all of it who come and announce, okay, here it is. And just one banal example to prove this. Sorry. When you sign agreement with a company or I don't know, project or whatever, there is a disclaimer that everything you do belongs to them. So that's how it rolls.
Yeah, I'm kind of familiar with this whole place because my uncle was a research scientist for 40 years and made massive progress in the area of blood, white blood cells, bone marrow, bone cancer, how all of those things interoperate with each other. And so I've had many discussions before he passed away a year and a half ago. I've had many discussions with him about how it works, why he does his research, what is the process, what is his objectives, what is he trying to, what is his primary thesis that he's trying to then use his lab work to validate. And so it's always for me, just for me, it's a fascinating conversation into the world of research and design, because I literally had a research scientist as my uncle. And then one of my wife's uncles, he was a test rocket engineer at Aerojet here in the Sacramento area. So on my side of the family, I had a biological research scientist as my uncle. And on my wife's side of the family, we had literally a rocket scientist on the other side of the family. Not that either one of us got any of that, but hopefully you're laughing at that part. But the point is, it's fascinating to have conversations with them about How do we get that? What does it work? How does the funding work? How do you get the information? What is your purpose? How are you trying to drive that? What are the methods? What are the constraints? And to me, because I'm fascinated with humans and organizations and structures and how we make decisions, that's one of my core curiosities. It's always fascinating to me to have conversations with people who are in a kind of intellectual space going a step. What is the next step? What are the next 5 steps? How do they get there? How do they work that? And I love those conversations. I love talking to them about it. And I've spent many, many hours. So I'm not intimately familiar, but at a surface level familiar with how they operate and do all that. And it is I've reached my time limit for the day, so I just want to say thank you, everyone. Thank you for I changed the title to AI Quantum Chips. Bring your tinfoil hat. Andy and John's AI Biz Hour. So thank you for the conversations, and John, thank you for hosting this. You do such a fantastic job. Everybody, make sure you join the Startup Circle. Follow John. Follow the AI Biz Hour. Follow Sun and Justin and Paul and everybody else. I appreciate your time. Again, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you, Andy. Andy, really bringing it. That's a lot of knowledge that about this subject in terms of how these computers are actually put together and can interconnect with society on a whole. Well, it looks like we're here again with just me, and I guess I'm going to read a little bit unless we get some questions. I have a book coming out on SEO and AI search, and that should be out probably by next week. And I hope that if that's something that interests anybody, I would love it if I got some feedback on, why everyone's here, so I could know better. And actually, I talked to some people, and we might have an interesting thing going on in the next week where we all can kind of participate, which is exciting. We're going to use this room to do things, which I think is going to be really neat. And I'm not sure. I guess I'll just read a little bit. If somebody has something they want to bring to the table, I got a whole bunch of stuff to do, so I'm probably going to end about 1:30. If there's anything that's burning that you want to talk about, I see Justin's here. How you doing, Justin?
Yeah, hey, AI John, good to see you again today. This is twice in a day for me, so yeah, for us seeing each other. So good to see you, AI John, and I know Andy was on earlier, and good to see Sandin, always a wealth of knowledge, and Zoo is out there. Good to see you, and Jeff G. Good to see everyone. Yeah, so and Paul and Uma, good to see everyone. So yeah, I was just gonna maybe poll the audience as well to see if you guys would be interested in watching myself, AI John, and Andy launch a live Twitter ads campaign sometime next week. So, yeah, I would love to see if that is of interest, where you guys would be interested in that, yes or no. Like maybe share some emojis. But yeah, I think it'd be a great experience just to look over the shoulder of, hey, here's how to launch an X ads campaign to an offer, and all the thought that goes behind that. So yeah, just kind of wanted to put that out there. So and yeah, I think AI for business. We really need to remember the fundamentals. Again, it's how am I increasing productivity? How am I saving companies money? And how am I driving more revenue? And I'm not a chief revenue officer yet, like Sandin, but I'm working my way up there, Sandin. I'm gonna catch you. I'm gonna catch you. So, but yeah, so good to be here, part of the conversation, and yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Justin. And I see Paul and Uba had their hands up. I'm going to go to you guys. And I think there's a lot that can be done in spaces. I think it's really interesting with the human voice and the information that's conveyed through it. And yeah, I'm thinking of becoming a personality. I don't know what anybody thinks about that, but I was thinking this morning. I woke up. I was like, I might become a personality.
Influencer. I think influencer would be better.
Okay.
One of the things, John, just to add to Andy, Andy kind of took my blue sky that I was looking at and kind of made it a little cloudy. Um, you know, there's a lot of time to be played out before we actually see things and before the human says, oh, I don't want to touch this no more. I'm going to let go of it. Like with the quantum stuff, the development, like we had Bell Labs, and Bell Labs created a lot of good things, and they pretty much pulled researchers from universities. And today, it's the model is more of the corporate supporting the universities versus the universities driving themselves. I'm pretty sure that some of them still have strong positions in certain areas that they get funding, and they're the primary force. But I think companies go out and look for resources and pull the universities in and fund them, and they play their role, and to give the churn. Beyond that, the quantum thing on the commercial viability, you're a long ways away from that, because they have to get you're you're the enterprise level, nation state level utilization, because the reason why it has to be cooled, one of the things Andy didn't include, is it's not really about temperature. It's about getting it to a state there's no vibration or interference. And that's the biggest problem they have now, is error correction in the states of the chip itself. So that's the reason why that's one of the technical sides of those things. And then the rest of it, the AI stuff, it's going to march in different ways. It's just who's going to decide to take their hands off of it and let it take control of them. And that's the key piece. And I have no intent on doing that, but in the future, people may say, "Oh, we need to just let it go, and let it do its thing," and that's where they'll have that future fight. So.
Yeah, no, I think that the idea that that's going to come to the table and it's going to radically change everything overnight. I don't see that, but it will be interesting. I mean, I have friends and families who are so 100% Bitcoin, but there are some vulnerabilities. We had a huge solar flare and had electrical disruption, which has happened before. That could present a challenge and other things. But yeah, I think that we're trained to have these kind of, that's it. If we just, well, only if this, and it's like these simple, life is very, very complicated and complex, and there's nothing.
You know the old adage, putting all your eggs in one basket. That's one of the things when you do risk review, whether or not you have alternative, because are you going to block yourself by taking a path, or are you going to have alternatives where you can continue on in business? If you have to look at things that way. And if you digitally, like now, like a lot of convenience stores, if they don't have that satellite connection, they're going to close the doors and lock them. They're not going to sell you things. They're not going to go manual, because that's the way they're directed. To me, I'd leave the doors open. I'd write pieces of paper out. I'd take credit card numbers. I'd do whatever was required manually to keep the cash flowing. But that's a choice, and those are the two choices that you have, putting all your eggs in one basket. So now be quiet, and it's Ubin, Uha.
Yeah, well, I'm going to buy in 1 minute, but yeah, Paul, I love your perspective on that, because it's obviously you've been there, and you're going to adapt. There's a lot of people who just be like, "Oh, the electricity's off. I have no choice," and they only believe they have no choice because they've never experienced anything other than just doing what they're told, or just.
I live in the woods, and tree limbs and trees fall on power lines, and you go without electricity. You can live without it. I got generators, because I want to protect my food and my refrigerators, and that's all I really worry about, is doing that. And then the rest of it, the discomfort and that kind of thing it may cause, hey, that's part of being a human being, and it's only going to last for whatever period of time the power's out, and it'll eventually come back on. But having those things and being in the right, because like in the cities, living in the cities and power goes out, you can still do the generators, but then you got a lot of people around you that aren't prepared, and then next thing you know, if it goes extended period of time, you become the target, because he's got things we can eat because ours has gone bad, and humans are humans, if you know what I mean. So
I read this book by Gerald Diamond called Collapse, which studied all the major cultures that had radical population reduction in a short period of time. And one trait that they all had, that they were all at the zenith of their powers. But then you become vulnerable sometimes when you're at the zenith of your powers. And I think that society right now, it looks like it's moving in a different direction than it was, but we'll see. I'm always optimistic. Uba, how are you doing? What would you like to contribute?
Yeah, good day, guys. Okay, I saw the topic of the discussion, and I decided to jump in. Then I jumped in at the part where Sanin was discussing. Was he discussing, or he brought up a point of maybe the government trying to, like, censor or moderate this technology for commercial use. So am I trying to, like, try, I'm not American and I've never been to America, so I'm trying to, like, understand. Do this company actually make this? Do they actually make this innovative technologies just for research purposes, in expense to their, the in expense to the resources they have put into it, the money they have wasted in, you know, getting this done, and they just like they just do it for research purposes. So I'm trying to, like, understand how that works.
You dropped off there for a bit there.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can. So you were
Okay.
having your question about research.
He I jumped into the space when Sanin was discussing about the possibility of this technology being, like, moderated by the government or being censored by the government for commercial use. So I'm trying to understand why these companies do these innovative technologies just to get censored by the government, or they don't put it out there for commercial use, or the project is just being, dropped aside. I want to like I want to understand why they do these things, if they know that eventually this technology won't be, mainstream. So is it just for research purposes, or is
Shannon, would you like to you want to ask Uba a little more, or do you want to answer that?
Oh yeah. So here is the reality. Everything we have right now today, and we are talking about all of these different LLMs and so on. IBM had this 15 years ago, all of it, even more, with the IBM Watson. And I think in 2015 to 16, they were doing the semantics. Who developed it for them? When they lost the battle for the personal computer with the Microsoft, they turned into the heart and soul and vessel of everything, which is a server. And they started doing the servers. Then they came up with the Linux, which is integrated in all of the corporations and everything. Many schools are using this. And there is the rule of the launching the product, or setting the product to the market. You need to have a research. You need to have the feedback from the first users. Who is the ideal first user? Student, somebody who participates in research. A couple of years ago, I helped a friend from San Francisco. He developed something amazing with an AI called Insightful. It's a wearable. Notre Dame University embraced immediately. Let's try it with our students on the mental health. It can predict your anxious phases, your pre-depression, depression phases, and then it can literally call your doctor or call your parents or call your brother or whomever you set to be called. Students were like first to test it, and all of these researchers, all of these government levels, all of these corporations levels, like big governments must be funded from something. Do we really believe that taxes are how governments are funded? No fucking way. Like that's absolute like nonsense, because there is no enough money in taxes that they can be funded. So they need to have the corporations on their side, and corporations need to leverage the benefit or the power they gain through this engagement. Banal example in the US, for example, if you're making money and you want to grow your company, you can postpone the taxes. When you postpone the taxes, you are in position to employ people. Government loves you because you're enabling the jobs, you're enabling houses for people and so on. You're feeding, and they love you. And that's the something that literally goes hand in hand. And then you come up, okay, I want to build a quantum chip. Okay, which one? And then you have access to all of these resources and stuff and everything. So that's how it works. And yeah, sorry, I forgot to greet you, Justin. What's up? How you doing? I just found solution for everything if tech takes over and everything. I'm going to buy 2 sheep and 2 goats and go up in the hills. Just kidding.
I think that the United States has a lot of good land. So there's all you need is a creek and a little valley and some something to put on the barbecue and would be fine. So, but yeah, I think that I always wonder, like, why can't institutions just be a little more honest? I think people can absorb it, but then again, I assume that people understand things the way I understand them, and probably not. But my father used to work at. He's a physicist. He worked at Brookhaven Laboratories doing research and Cornell, and yeah, there's a strong group of people who are very focused on and serious about achieving certain things, and they float between big institutions like universities like Stanford, and then the connection between them and governments and directing of technologies and industries is what you're saying, San, and I don't know that much about it, but I know a little bit, the tiny amount, and it seems like that there's a bit of there's some shepherding going on, but it's not directly stated. um, am I wrong about that, or is that kind of the right way to go on that thought, Shannon?
No, that's literally how it functions. Like there are too many complexities for, let's say, for one ultimate power to solve it. Let's say it's a government. Banal example, why the real estate is the biggest thing in the US, because government failed to provide the household for people. So what they did, okay, all of you rich dudes, here is the land, go ahead, build, we are going to give you benefit. And that's how people got homes. And that's the same principle anywhere else you go. So it's not compar. So there was one space we were talking, actually the topic was touched because between the capitalism and socialism. I don't want to politicize this or anything, but it's pretty much the same. It's just the difference in observer's eye. Like US enabled big guys to build, government enabled big companies to build because giving them the money or space to build. And that's why the government comes and say, hey, you get a free apartment. There is nowhere on the planet you will get the free apartment, because in socialism you are paying it in installments while in the let's say capitalism, you're paying it cash in or debt or whatever else. And it's just the system that cannot work differently. Like bigger fish eats smaller fish, and then it's food chain.
I think some people's heads would explode. They say that the two of the biggest conflicting ideologies are basically the same. But yeah, it's I think there needs to be in human minds, I'm always the good guy, and then there's always a bad guy, and I'm going to grab one flag and I'm going to hold on to this side, and that everybody else is on the other, or whoever's on the other side. But that seems to align with the human mind in a certain way where people get gobbled up into that paradigm, pretty quickly, and then they follow that for most of their life, for better or worse. But yeah, I do think that it's important, and I think it's a good thing now. It seemed like for the past 20 years or so that entrepreneurism and the corporate, I guess, corporate world wasn't shine didn't have wasn't something to aspire to. And it seems that now that at least the current administration, well, he's only got 4 years, we'll see what happens after that, but it seems that entrepreneurs, that idea that you're going to go out and conquer and bring people along, might start to get a lot, become more socially, uh, have value in it. I didn't see, was it Shannon or Justin? Justin or Shannon, either of you want to speak?
I'll jump quickly, Justin. Sorry. So I've learned life lesson the hardest possible fucking way, and I will just translate this into narrative, into question. You are passing by the man on the street for 10 days in a row, and he's like begging for money. So you decide to give him some money. Tomorrow, you are passing by and you don't see that man. Then you read in the papers he died because of the overdose. In all of your best intentions, you wanted to give him some food, but you actually help him to cut off his life. The point of the story is not all things are as we want them to see, or intentions of doing it as we want it to end up. And I think in general, concept of how we should observe technology, or how we should be aligned or paralleled with it. The other day on a zoo space, he and I discussed, and I can tell you this, guys, we will become so overwhelmed with the tech that the businesses that are handmade, are going to be next big thing. Not tomorrow, not in 2 years, in a 5, 10, maybe 20 years. But I'm telling you that one t-shirt that is done in production on a massive scale versus one t-shirt that is hand sewed, everybody will want to buy one t-shirt that is hand sewed, even if it's way much more expensive, just because we will become sick and tired of the tech and everything we are producing. Like, even the whole point is, even we have good intentions, we are still fucking super self-destructive. And that's the general problem of everything. Like economy, why do we need economy wheel reset? There is no need for it. Why don't we, if we see it's not working, let's go back in a feudal time when we were exchanging goods, and let's start from there. Even if it's that bad, let's try to do something else. But no, we are just pushing until, oh, I'm so fucking tired of this. So it's going to be good but how good depends how we are going to see it.
Yeah. Are you done? Or you go?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. It feels to me that we're coming into this time where, you know, we're going to realize that we're really responsible for ourselves, in terms of what we're going to do to earn a dollar, in terms of our community, in terms of our families. That I feel like I grew up at a time, and even my father, even at a more time where it was just there. There was no care about this, that, or the other thing. It was like I'm gonna have some fun. I'm gonna, that life isn't to contemplate or to ponder, uh, where's the value. It's just to live and have a good time. And I don't know if, I'd love to hear if anybody has any thoughts on that, but I think that we're going to be confronted with the fact that we have to find purpose and meaning in it, which is something that in my lifetime hasn't been the main go-to place for everybody. Uh, Edwardland, how are you? And then we'll go to Paul.
Oh, can I jump in, John?
Yes, of course.
Great, good.
I didn't see your hand, but yes, Justin.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, some great points that you and Sandon brought up. And I think so. There's this concept high tech, high touch, right? High tech, high touch. And so, yes, if you have the high tech stuff, that still enables a high touch experience. That's good, right? But to Sandon's point, as we become more technologically advanced, right, the emotional connection and uh, these types of audio spaces and stuff like that, the human element, right, will be more important than ever. And so, and I've lived this for 40 years, right, dealing with technology. So um, the thing I'll say when it comes to businesses, for example, I'm seeing a big trend of even these what we call boring businesses, right? They're boring businesses where some baby boomers are retiring, but these are some cash generating businesses, man. Like I almost want to go out and get an SBA loan and get some of these because because nobody wants to take them over. Why? Because it's kind of boring. It's not high tech. It's not flashy. It's not, you know what I mean? But these businesses generate cash flow, right? They generate decent cash flow. That's what we want. And then we take them and we improve them with some sales and marketing and systems. And guess what? We grow them and then we sell them, right? So don't discount and don't fall asleep to some possible business opportunities on these boring bits. That's number one. Number two is when we're functioning, there's a method of operation, right? It's head, heart, hand, right? Head, heart, and then hand. But now, and the way I operate is heart, head, hand, right? I look in my heart first. Is this making me feel good? Is this a good decision? And then I rationalize it logically. Oh yeah, this is a good thing to do, and then I do the thing, right? So really getting clarity on, am I coming from a place of maybe overthinking it, or should I look deeper into myself and my soul and come from a heart-centered place? And so everyone needs to ask themselves that question. And I'm really seeing the reality is all the people that I went to college with, there's been a big resurgence over the last few years thanks to AI, thanks to economic conditions. Pick your pill of choice, it doesn't matter. But the reality is that there's a high percentage of people out of work, getting laid off, fill in the blank, right? Fill in the blank. And so I think people are coming to the realization that, oh man, I got to do my own thing. I may become like a forced entrepreneur here, right? I better learn some high income skills right away. I better learn how to sell. I better learn how to code and use AI, right? So yeah, just some perspectives, because I have this utopic view that I've said numerous times on spaces, that people on X that are building, they need to be bringing in revenue and building their 7 streams of income, right? You need to control your own destiny. You need to become a Ronin of your own life. You need to become the CEO of your own life. Why? Because you can get laid off 4 times like me in the course of 14 years and still build your thing on the side and not stop and never stop. I'll never stop, right? I love business. So, yeah, just some fresh perspectives, but yeah, and even the offline networking groups, these are making a resurgence now. People after COVID, I'm starting to see, more and more people want to get out, shake hands, meet and greet, do in-person workshops, masterminds, right? So there's a resurgence there. So don't sleep on those. And you can start in your local network, right? Like I joined a BNI networking group. I was in BNI 20 years ago in my IT business where I made $1 million in 5 years, but I only netted 50 grand because it's costly to do business in California, but taught me an important lesson called profit. But yeah, don't sleep on those in-person networking groups because I think there's something to be said that we're getting back to realizing that the human connection is important and doing business with people like, and trust, and a handshake, and trying to keep things simple because look, simple is usable and complicated is very interesting. So even though the tech is very flashy, let's keep it simple, right? So yeah, thanks for allowing me to share a little rant there. Thanks, guys.
Hey, and Justin, if you're out and about and you find one of these boring businesses with boomers with no one to leave it to and kind of in a quandary, you should, we should get a group together and figure out what to do with those things because they could be very lucrative. And it seems like that might be a trend. So there's some smart folks in this room, and I think that there'd be a good use of this room if we could, find something to check out. Uh, Edward Lynn, I don't know if you want to speak. I saw your hand, but then it went down. But otherwise, go to Simon.
Yeah, no. Thank you for sharing that. I happen to be a baby boomer, and I'm also in one of the businesses that Justin talking about. And AI John, I'm in death care, and there is a lot of areas that death care will always be. And it's also a people business where we all have to come together. I'm an event planner. At the same time, I'm a counselor. I direct services. So this is going to touch people every day. I mean, every day I get a call across the country, one of our firms, whether it's a cemetery, funeral home, a crematory, where a lot of people don't even think of this business. We ship remains around the world. So one of the things, and I like you bring your tinfoil hat. Well, see, because I, for the last 37 years, been in real life, and I deal with real life issues every day, because we always say end of life matters because end of life matters. We don't bury people for free in the United States, regardless of whether they live up the Long Hill or they live in the 3rd Street here in California in the gutter. It doesn't matter. And so what I always say, Justin, if you want to hit me up on the back channel, there's a lot of opportunities in death care. I'm talking about when we had the lockdown, over $300 million worth of funeral homes transferred hands because 70 and 75, 80-year-old people who owned them, independent funeral homes and cemeteries, they did not want to go online. They didn't want to do Zoom. They were so stuck on meeting with families because that's why it's called a funeral home. We are truly in the people business, and we deal with people from the arrangement conference when people come in at the time of death to make arrangements. Then we're there for the viewing, or people come to view their loved one, what we call the honoree. Then we have a service where people are still purchasing hearses every single week. When I go to convention all over the world, different conventions, the hearses are still being purchased. Why? Because there are going to be people following hearses every single day. You don't even see it. It's so out of your mind, but it's happening all around you. And all this is people business. So when you talk about BNI or networking, every funeral I go to in every walk of life, I get the network from Muslim, Hindu. I live in California, Justin. One of my funeral homes deal with 5 different groups: Cambodian, Filipino, Chinese, blacks, and whites, all in the city of Long Beach. Okay? So we have to have every people group there, and we get to network with every different people group. And I've learned from carpenters to electricians to contractors, all come through the funeral home or cemetery business that I'm in. So all I'm saying to you guys is, even though we are in AI, like I tell my children, I believe in actual intelligence. That means if I have a skill, if I can't communicate that skill to someone else, it really doesn't matter. And John, I'm going to tell you what my dad told me. My dad was born in 1919. My grandpa was born later, in the 1800s, mid 1800s. And they both told me this, okay? No one can take away your hands. That means what you do with your hands is incredible. Hard work wins. Now, listen, I know that we have technology. It's a tool. It's supposed to make things easier. But what I've also learned is that people don't think they have enough value that they're going to be replaced. I tell people all the time, you can't replace Edward, because no matter what you do in life, Edward's still going to have value, because Edward has a family to take care of. And I tell my children, my son's 38, my daughter's 32, guys, there was life before the internet. I don't know if you guys know that. And right now there's still things that the internet, even though I know social media is everywhere and people talking, there's still a lot of people not on X. Okay? So for me, and like I said, I'm not trying to block my mind from what I call clickbait or all these talking points. Like right now, all of AI is talking about someone they never met, never will meet, don't know it really happened, because I'm not there. I don't care. Like my wife and I were just talking. I don't know Epstein. I know my wife. I know my children. I know my grandbabies. And I know the business I have. I got people every day that I got to work with every single day. People tomorrow are looking for a paycheck. Okay? I got a payroll to catch up to. So, this is just, it just interests me, AI John. But if you do AI John, really want to get involved, you guys want to put a group together, listen, there's all kinds of things happening right now in death care, businesses going on. We actually, and I'll land on this, we actually started with holograms. It's called living holograms, to where we're now using AI to do living memorials, so people can do all of their arrangements in advance. They get their whole life, and it's them actually speaking to a hologram after they pass. And now we're showing this in all our chapels and everything like that. It's absolutely amazing technology, but it's moving. After 37 years, things are changing. So we celebrate life, we don't mourn death, and we even do it through technology. So thanks, John. Always good to see you. And let's hook up, guys, really. If you really want to make something happen, let's do it. Because I tell you, one thing that's not going away is us passing away.
I love that, Edward Lynn. You really bring a lot into this room right now, and yeah, let's there's a lot of opportunity here in the room with the people, because of the people that are here. So we'll continue this conversation for sure. I'll send you a DM, and yeah, life is meant to be lived. So and that means, and yeah, there's nothing new under the sun. So all that's going on now, Moses, the pharaohs, and going all the way back in time. They walked down the street. They wanted to get this. They had their wives. They had stuff's pretty much in the human experience. I don't think it's changed that much in a certain way. Sonnen and then Umesh. And thank you again.
Hey, John, before you go on, I just want you to listen to, I don't know how many people here under 30 or over 30 and younger, because I want you to hear what John just said. I mean, guys, don't let this slip. There is nothing new under the sun. Nothing. So what you guys to pick that. I'm 61 years old, and I don't care what anybody say. Anything that's created has to get to market. It needs someone to take it to market. Doesn't matter what it is. So just remember that. Nothing new under the sun. Like I tell young people, tell my children, you still got to work. Work's a four-letter word. It's the only one we get compensated for.
I love, and yeah, it's like I really feel sorry for the kids that have been born in the past 20 years with the cell phones and stuff. We really need to put some direction towards that. Kids are given antidepressants, and there's been this kind of utopian vision that's going to come to fruition that fell to pieces. And it's a problem that needs to be addressed in a big way. And I guess it's up to all of us to do it. Shannon, Howard, what would you like to add?
Hey, I think Paul was holding hand 2 times. Let him speak, and then I will jump after him.
Paul.
Well, I just, I've already probably remembered and forgot several times what I was going to say. But to the general, the main thing, the story Shannon did about the man that you contribute to his death, I look at it as that we should never step away from our responsibilities, but at the same time, people make their choices. So it's kind of like, what impact did you have? But the main thing I'm looking at in today's world, to shift a different direction, is when it comes to convenience. When I hear that word, convenience is to me the word lazy that changed over time. When you look at how this country and you look at the history, how it was built, how it was put together, how many people went out and sacrificed themselves and also sacrificed their labor, their time just to survive and build, and then grow. And then, it broke up into land grants, into smaller sales to smaller sales to smaller sales where people could own their own property and that kind of thing. So it's kind of like, it's the human that comes in, just like I think it was Edward was talking about. The human comes into play. The human needs to step out and still control everything, because if you give yourself to the technology, then you actually lose that human component. So that's pretty much all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Shannon, and then Umesh, and then I think that's the order.
Oh yeah, thank Paul. No, I was using that analogy that even we have good attentions, it doesn't have to end up in a way we were seeing it or we wanted it to be. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. John, you mentioned something about entrepreneurs earlier, and Zoe and I did have like this discussion like many times. I don't believe in this kind of thing like entrepreneurship, and all of it in terms how it's presented. Every entrepreneur is selected either by the angel, either by the VC, either by the whatever else is the thing that they are going to be backed up, except in cases they have their own money. So how it works, um, you come to VC sees what you have, you get that blurb, you tell them all the shit and all of the beauty about your product and everything. They don't see none of it, you say. They see who you are, who's your background, and then how they can leverage your business in their portfolio. Is it going to be exit for tech purposes? Is it going to be exit for the, I don't know, whatever else? The end goal is for them to secure position or pinpoint on your business with the founders or lenders' money. Um, One thing that Justin mentioned, and I think Edward also mentioned, money is in boring businesses. So before I moved back to Bosnia, I met this dude in Austin, and we just liked each other. Literally, we met in a bar. I think it was kind of business on the first sight, to not say love on the first sight. He was crazy. I was kind of weird and everything. And he did have this agency, Web Vega. Sorry. So he was like, what we can do together. And I was like, oh, I'm doing some oil and gas and SaaS in there and stuff and everything. So I don't know. Let's see. He wanted to start a micro private equity. So we organized the structure, everything, blah, blah, blah. Then he insisted to me to buy family-owned businesses. And I was like, what the fuck? Why? I started searching locally. We wanted it to be in Texas solely. The first acquisition was a gasket company. I did not have any fucking clue about gaskets. Like nothing, literally nothing. I was only seeing like dirty hands, nothing else. It appeared it was absolutely the best business in the entire portfolio. Everybody needs gaskets, pumps, hydraulics, buses, cars, all kind of shit. Like it's insane. Like it's insane. I'm telling you that my business, and I can show you the financials, that my business in gaskets makes more money the 90% AI share that we are talking about, or any other business on this entire fucking X. The next step was we have some other cash, but we need more money. So I spoke with some investors and stuff, and everybody looked cash in. Pandemic was about to burst. We went to the bank. We were pushing super hard to get this 4 million. And I found, this is insane business, absolutely insane, boring business. Antonio Stradivar, a string instrument company from San Antonio. They were having 167 schools they were serving. So when you go to the school, they don't have music as a regular subject. But if parents want, they hire the professor, professional who comes to teach, and then they rent instruments. Damn it. We bought the business with already super fucking amazing cash flow. What we did, we used the money to expand. Let's go to Austin. Let's make another one in San Antonio, and let's move to Dallas. Super boring businesses, like super boring businesses. When you get into the spreadsheets of these businesses, you want to commit suicide. How boring it is. But cash flow is insane, absolutely insane. Like that's the money. And I also think this is the last thing I want to add, that we are missing the most important part about business, and it's the rules, regulations, laws, and loopholes. A friend of mine, his fiance, she was a dentist. I was doing some stuff in flipping dental offices, creating the groups, DSOs, and stuff, exiting. Amazing business, also boring business. A shit ton of cash there. He was like, "Oh, my fiance and her partner, they started the dental practice and blah blah, but it looks like it's going to be pandemic." So we were having coffee, talking about stuff, and I was like, "Okay, what's the problem? What's the true problem of it?" Because patients cannot come to the office. How so? Because of the restrictions. Oh, can they do emergency? Yes. So advertise fucking emergency. No one can say, no one can define, no law, no regulation, no rule can find out what's the emergency. Maybe I was pinched on a needle and it hurts me like it cut off my finger. No one can measure that. They were growing like 100 patients a month just by promoting emergency. And we find solution through the loophole. We do talk about try this strategy, try that strategy, but many of the values, many of the true money mines are actually in these loopholes, which I'm not saying from the negative perspective, but from the perspective it's doable. It's just not covered by any legal term or anything. So yeah, that's for me. Sorry for the monologue.
No, that's huge. The if there's such people can see only what they can see, and there could be something in front of them that is huge opportunity, but if they've never experienced it before, never known it before, it doesn't exist. And yeah, I can see with that type of an attitude, if your attitude is I'm sitting here, I got my office, I got my clients, what do I care, I'm making enough money, however that may be. But to come in with a 10,000 foot perspective and to look at every option and every possibility, there could be huge amounts of opportunities that aren't taken care of, and or when there's a change or a crisis or some kind of outside intervention that comes in. If you if you have the right attitude or the right mindset or the right experience, you can take those things and really run with it. But that's exciting. Yeah, the demographics in the United States right now is there's where I live. When I grew up in the '70s, I'm a bit old, or yeah, not the '60s, but the '70s. Neighborhoods were filled with kids. I'm in California. I don't know. Did they eat all the kids? I don't know what they did with them. But there's not kids around the neighborhood anymore. That's a joke, bad joke. But yeah, it's kind of without without that element in your society, it's not a good indication of certain things. But yeah, I believe that probably there's a lot of opportunities for these businesses now if they don't have children that are interested in taking them over or what have you. I'm a little rambling. Umesh, please save me from myself.
Oh, John, you need AI for that, man. You need your own AI that can save you. Oh, man. 4.5. Go for 4.5. Um, I'm very disappointed with 4.5. Anywho, I have a question for Justin, if you permit me, John. So thank you for giving me the mic, and good to see old friends, everyone here. Justin, you said about 7 streams of income, and then I remember in your second last or couple of before, you said you were talking about 7 streams of income, and you were talking about don't like start with 7 streams, and first you need to optimize the first one, and then second one, and then third one, which is valid, absolutely. My question to you is, how do you define that limit where you can say that this revenue stream has reached its maximum potential or optimum potential? I wouldn't say maximum, because maximum could be anything, but the marginal increase for the efforts that you put in may not be sufficient, and it makes sense to then transfer those efforts to the new stream where you have low hanging fruits and higher propensity to generate income. So where is that trade-off that you experience in your view? And I know that it can depend on the type of stream and everything, but what are some general rules that you might have or indicators you might have that would help in deciding that? Sorry if I'm backtracking the discussion. It's just that I couldn't come up somehow because of some technical glitch.
Yeah, no, that's a good question, Umesh. And I just ordered my lunch, so yeah, haven't eaten yet, so I got a few minutes to answer here. So good to see you. And so yeah, so I mean, I personally take an approach where it's like you have your investments, right? And then you have your business. And then maybe in the past, I had some rental properties, which I don't have anymore. But everything requires energy, right? And in order for you to scale and get to a certain point where it's like, okay, now, and you have to figure out what that number is for you. It can be different for everyone, but what is that number where it's like, it's to the point where it's dialed in enough where then you can say, okay, I'm going to start building that next income stream, right? And and yeah, so like I just hired a VA for my agency, and she's starting off at 20 hours a week, and then I'm going to bring her up to 40 hours a week. I'm teaching her AI and everything. And today was her first. This was her first week. This week actually. And so once I get to like 10K a month, which probably by this summer I'll be there. And I'm just going to keep building that up and scaling up and just adding more people, adding more clients, and just keep scaling up. And then once I bring in more revenue, then I can invest in other things. So that's what I'm doing. That's my plan of action. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question or is helpful, Newish. But yeah, happy to take any follow-ups or if you want me to go deeper.
Yeah, I mean, I would come to you, but that kind of gives a good guideline, and I have some thoughts as well. And I have some other ideas which I'll reach out in DMs about your help actually. So we'll come to that. Thank you, Justin, for sharing your knowledge. Always value that. John, over to you.
Yeah, you got it. Thanks, Umesh.
Thank you. Thank you, Umesh. I just want to thank you again for co-hosting on Monday. You're great. You're a great interviewer. Absolutely prepared, and looking forward to having you co-host again some other sub topics or subjects if you're interested in. And yeah, always really appreciate your contributions. On Anura,
John,
yeah.
sorry, John, pleasure was mine, John, and thank you for giving me that opportunity. I really appreciate. It was a really interesting session. I know that I sometimes overspoke, and it's just that I was very enthusiastic on that day, and very excited to host the space with you because you are becoming one of my favorite sports to go to for my evenings. So even though like I had a whole day long working session and meeting and everything and came tired from London home, and still I thought at least John might be winding up, but let me just join the space for some time and hear some good interesting talks.
Well, thank you so much. And I laughed out loud when you said you talk too much. You did not. You're so prepared and you're on point with all your questions. It was perfect. Okay, Umesh, just accept that it was perfect. But I'm going to tell everybody. Thanks for you saying that. What I'm doing is bringing some value to the world because I believe it is bringing value to the world. That's a heck of a statement to say that by talking you could actually bring value to the world. I never thought I'd say that, but I just said it. But I'm having a little bit of fun now. If everybody could please go to my account and buy me some lunch. If you go to my account, you'll see aijohnallen.com. You go there, there's a Zelle thing. I like Zelle because it doesn't cost anything. But I think I'm putting in the hours, I'm putting in the work, I'm bringing some contribution to the community, and we're going to do great things here. And it would be a little bit of a help if you buy me some lunch. So I'm going to say that, and I'll say it one more time. And I'm having a book coming out next week. If you're interested in SEO and AI search and what's going to change along those lines, because that's the name of the game. That's how people get money in their pocket, is that they show up when somebody goes online and searches. It goes into pretty good detail about that, and it's a good book, and I'm proud of it. And I hope that everybody would check that out. So thank you for that lead in, Umesh. And Anura, how are you?
I'm great, John. Thank you for the mic, and good evening, everyone. Well, such a lovely panel, and it's like it's raining wisdom over here. So, well, the thing which I am loving about this space is that people are not shying away from the simple ideas. So I would start with what Edward said, that your 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 hand matters, because your hand is basically your mind. Okay, you just use your hand to do things. And so I was talking to a friend who is a very good developer, and we were talking about that how AI would eat his job and everything, and mine too. So he said that you can have a AI which can build the software which I'm trying to build now, uh, but it someone is doing it through AI, and he cannot have my perspective. Okay, so what happens is that when someone is into some business in which he has his heart in, uh, he just cannot stop thinking of ideas. And the ideas come at the speed of light, and it's the execution which takes time. And because of AI, that execution would be much faster. So actually that person would have exponential edge over a person who thinks he can replace him. And uh, people who have what I would say that direction is skills, editing skills would definitely going to be held by AI, because what is currently happening is that they are random people at random places and then trying to do stuff. But with the power of AI, the people who really have the vision would club up a team and would be able to build the stuff which might blow our mind, hopefully. um, the second thing I think which Edward said was, there's nothing new under the sun. And that's so true. The reason is that there are limited right answers and there are infinite wrong answers. Okay, so when we do crazy stuff, there can be infinite crazy ideas, but right answers are very few. Okay, so that's why you would find that
I got to unmute. Okay, we're going to have to shut down the stream. Thanks everybody for watching, but it's time to go, and we're going to end the stream here. We're going to end it up, and we will be back tomorrow. Come back tomorrow noon Pacific time for the Andy and John's AI and Biz Hour, and the live streams will continue next week and from now on. So come tomorrow, and I meant tomorrow, next week, next show, which is tomorrow, Friday, on the 28th of February. So tomorrow we're going to have another show. So thanks again. We'll see you next time. Until then, take care.